The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Hi, Andy.
Hello, Phil. Okay. That is only funny to us, but I'm really glad we did it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Folks, this is a podcast where college friends and Jew and a priest talk about movies. And also, this is part 3 of our quarantine podcast, so I don't know why I'm introducing ourselves because I can't imagine.
A Jew and a priest.
I
mean, but priest is my profession, but like, you're not a professional Jew.
Aren't all Jews?
As a Gentile, I don't feel comfortable answering that question.
The answer is no. And even if we were, I would somehow still not be. Much to my mother's consternation.
Right. Andy's only Jewish.
There it is. So
it's bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Do you want to give us the story so far? What we've done in the first 2 parts of this podcast, which you all should watch or listen to?
Not really. Here's what I think.
Cool.
Andy and I used to do a podcast. We're doing it again for fun. We may do more. We don't know. We used to come up with really cool topics, but one of our favorite things to do is just answer questions from people who listen to or watch our show. And I mean, mailbag is super unoriginal, but it just gives us a chance to respond directly to really cool questions that we wouldn't have thought of. And it's fun. So we just spent 2 hours plus talking about every movie genre possible and what we would want to watch in quarantine. But now we've still got some really fantastic questions from people we love.
Yep.
And we get to talk about them. And just as a reminder, if for any reason this is the first time you've ever listened to us, Andy and I aren't movie reviewers.
Nope.
And we're not influencers.
We're just going to tell you stuff we love.
We're really just going to talk to each other about things that we love.
It's true. It's true.
And if you think it's funny, great. And if you don't, this is just not for you.
That's accurate.
This is very much not for everyone.
That is an accurate statement.
But
yeah. So
we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 or 5 questions to get through.
Yes.
And I think they're all fantastic questions.
Yep.
Some of them will go quickly, some of them will not.
No, some of them will not. I will go out on a limb and say it, and this is not to denigrate any of the questions we have. I love them all. I'm really excited to talk about them. We have one of the best questions I think we've ever gotten.
Yep, I agree. I hated it. I hated it when I saw it. It's my favorite question.
It's great. We'll end with that one.
Okay, great.
Yeah, because it'll take the longest, I think. Yeah. Shall I tee you up?
I wonder what we're starting with. I don't remember. I hope.
Bobby's question.
Okay, that's fine.
We love you, Bobby. Okay, friend of the podcast, Bobby, asks.
I feel like this is a question for me and not for you.
It's true. I still have
like you're welcome to have an answer.
That's true. That's fine. I don't mind a question for you. Either you answering it or me answering it as well.
Go ahead.
There you go. Bobby, who has I want to say 2-year-old, 3-year-old, not sure.
I think it's 2-year-old.
Yep. And is expecting another one in the next couple of weeks, as I am. Bobby asks, what are the best movies to watch in lockdown that a 2-year-old will enjoy that won't drive the parents absolutely batty on repeated viewings?
You can imagine I had a lot of thoughts about this question.
I can imagine you did.
Maybe you should go first.
Mine is very, very quick.
Yeah. Mine is not.
Sure. I mean, look, there are all sorts of wonderful kids movies out there.
Yeah.
Movies that go well for adults too.
Yeah.
What I will say is this: on the chance that you haven't thought about it, although I'm certain you've heard about it, and Phil, on the off chance that you might not mention it, I will go with absolutely anything made by Studio Ghibli. Miyazaki.
Great. I did not mention those because I don't know them well, so that's great. Can you tell me why you were thinking about them?
Because it's off the beaten path.
Yep.
Because it's hand-drawn animation, which is just sort of lovely and quaint and great, and because they are, especially this one, and I will single out My Neighbor Totoro, because that is a movie that you do not even have to be. You don't have to be verbal to love it. It's quick. It's like 7 minutes long. It is glorious, and you will love it too.
I'm gonna blow your mind.
Go for it.
So I haven't seen this, but my daughter has because someone showed her.
Love
It's
it.
called My Neighbor Totoro. Is that what it's called?
It is.
So the other day, the beginning of this quarantine, my son, my 6-year-old and my 9-year-old decided to put on plays in our living room for Krista and me.
I love it. I love
And they decided to do Wizard of Oz.
Sure.
We've never watched the Wizard of Oz movie with our children.
Okay.
So they know the books, right? Or they know like the picture book, and they know of the story. But we've never sat, and they might have seen clips of it, but we've never like sat down and watched Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Do you know where the story's going yet?
I don't.
So my
I-
daughter
I-
plays
I-
Dorothy. My daughter plays Dorothy, and she has a dog, and she's convinced the Dorothy's dog's name is Totoro, not Toto. And that is awesome.
That is awesome.
Because
I
the
love
entire time she's like, Totoro, Totoro, Totoro. And she's not being ironic or clever. That's what she thinks the dog's name is. And it makes me super happy.
that.
So
This is marvelous.
I know. I wanted to let you know. Okay. Here's the thing. That's my paper with all my answers. Here's the thing.
boy.
Here's the thing. No. So first of all, Bobby, children, you made the mistake of having one. You're making the double mistake. It's not even double. It's like quadruple mistake of having a second. We have 3. Here's why I'm interested in the Studio Ghibli movies, even though I haven't seen them. They seem quiet. Andy, all of my choices are quiet. I don't care. I don't care. I love the Pixar movies. I love them. And my 3-year-old will watch them. So that, I mean, I'll just keep watching Pixar movies and y'all can whatever.
Sure.
But sometimes the Pixar movies aren't great for 2-year-olds. In the sense, not that they're like above them, but kind of like there's too much plot actually.
Yeah,
And the kids
yeah,
don't necessarily know what to do.
Yep.
But okay, so first of all, even though this is breaking the rules a little bit, I'm going to tell you about a few TV shows I need you to pay attention to.
Okay.
If you have HBO, there is something called Classical Baby. There's only like 5 episodes, little cartoon vignettes set to classical music
Ooh.
that are amazing. My favorite one is called The Art Show. Each vignette is a piece of famous art set to classical music, and it's animation. And I personally have seen it in the hundreds of times and would watch it right now. One time Krista came in and it was nighttime, like late, and she came in and she was like, "Are you watching the Art Show Classical Baby?" And I was like, "Yes." And she's like, I was in bed, the lights out. She goes, "Are there any kids in here?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "Why?" And I was like, "I'm really stressed out and anxious, and this show makes me so calm. It makes me feel so good." And that literally was why. Like I was like, I don't do drugs. I do drink, but I don't drink to like relax or like if I've had a bad day. Like I don't drink to like fix things. Like I generally drink because it tastes good and it feels good, but I'm not like, I need a drink, man.
Yeah.
So like if I'm having the worst day or I'm anxious, like alcohol and drugs are not the way to go.
Sure.
Apparently it's Classical Baby. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
I would also say you already probably know, Bobby, about Daniel Tiger, but Daniel Tiger is genuinely a delightful television show where everyone is learning how to be nice. Now there's another show and I don't know what it's on. It used to be on, I think it used to be on Netflix, but I'm not sure. It is called Sarah and Duck. Andy, it's narrated by Stephen Fry.
Ooh.
I think. If it's not, it's narrated by a British man that I have convinced myself is Stephen Fry.
That's enough to make
and
it. Right.
Sarah, this little girl, has a duck named Duck.
Sure.
And they walk around England in a very, very calm, reassuring way, doing lovely things. While Stephen Fry narrates, Sarah and Duck went to the zoo. And I love Sarah and Duck. Anyways, those are my TV shows. Movies. Are you ready? There's a movie. It's a hand-drawn French one. That's I don't know what it was like in the original French, but of course it's been dubbed over in English with like Forrest Whitaker and some other American actors, called Ernest and Celestine.
Okay.
And it's about a bear and a mouse that are supposed to hate each other and they become friends.
I love
Ernest and Celestine.
Nice.
Made, I believe, by the same people who made Triplets of Belleville.
I was going to say, Triplets of Belleville, not a kid's animation.
No,
but,
but might be visually astounding enough that a kid could watch it. But Triplets of Belleville's like, it's kind of sinister. It's not, but you know,
yes.
I did write it maybe. And then the other one is The Secret of Kells. And it's an Irish one.
I've heard of this.
And there's another one they made that's basically a walking nightmare called Song of the Sea. My kids love Song of the Sea. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. But it is lovely. It's a beautiful, all the movies, it's the same people who made this movie, but Secret of Kells is like, again, Andy, it's quiet. Bobby, find you some quiet movies and some quiet television shows. This is my loving advice to you.
Love this. Love it.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's what I got. Yeah.
My next, our
Thanks.
next.
Thanks, Bobby.
Yes, thank you, Bobby. The next, where we're going next, friend of the podcast, Meg.
Oh my gosh, this is just a great.
And I'll tell you, you may talk for a while on this, but we may have just switched positions because I have a lot to say about.
You're gonna have a lot more to say. I think I should go first because I think you will have a lot more to say.
All right, so let me ask you the question.
Go ahead.
Favorite rom-com, because I know you love that phrase. Favorite rom-com tropes, not ones you love to hate, but ones you actually love.
Well, I hate the term rom-com.
He does. That's true.
Also hate the term meet cute.
Can confirm.
Okay. But I do love myself some romantic comedies, Andy Roth.
Sure.
I wrote down I wrote down two different things, but there's one that I think I really want to. My favorite thing about romantic comedies is the chemistry between the characters, like which is not a trope. So I will get to a trope. But when you see actual chemistry, when it works, and you see two people, like when the screen crackles, like with that energy. And like a great example for me is Intolerable Cruelty with George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones, one of my sneaky favorite movies, that you go, yeah, of course there's chemistry. It's George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones. They're the most gorgeous people literally on the planet. But that doesn't always make chemistry.
No, it doesn't. Absolutely not.
I mean, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie fell in love making Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and they didn't have chemistry in that movie. So chemistry is a weird body. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's what makes you. It's Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan in several movies.
Yeah.
And Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal in Our Favorite.
Yes.
Which is funny because the person who asked this question's name is Meg Ryan. Forgot about that. But anyways, but Meg, I didn't. That was an accident, but it's all true. My favorite thing is that my favorite moment in romantic comedy, my favorite tropes, is the tension comes from the fact that these two either don't know they should be together or I don't know, something's getting in the way of them being together. That's the whole point. A romantic comedy, two people want to be together or should be together, but they don't know it or they don't like it or something's getting in the way.
Yeah.
I love and so there's tension and there's always like hardness, like sometimes a little bit of meanness, always some bickering. My favorite is whenever the moment is when like the vulnerability shows.
Sure.
Like the slip.
Yep.
Like when the guard comes down, even if we know it's going to go back up. There has to be a moment in a romantic comedy where one of them lets their guard down. And that moment the most satisfying thing in a romantic comedy should be the end.
Yeah. Yes.
It's more so than, like the only other genre that depends so heavily on this is action movies. Like there has to be a climactic scene that in some way makes you like, you can't believe this is like happening.
Yeah.
But second to that only is a romantic comedy where the way that they finally get together at the end has to, pardon me. Woo! I'm 40 and I just burp when I talk now. I would love if you could edit that out.
Nope. Brilliant. It's great.
I hate myself so much. Now I'm gonna, by the way, the level of self-loathing that I'm gonna have later.
Oh no.
It's seeping in now. Like by the time I go to bed tonight, it's gonna be like I'm gonna be wallowing because of this. 3 people are gonna watch this podcast. 3 people are gonna watch this podcast, but I'm gonna remember this moment and like hate myself.
Well,
anyways, romantic comedies, how it ends has got to be the thing. It's got to be the thing. You got to love it. But that moment, there's a moment in Intolerable Cruelty when Clooney actually falls for Catherine Zeta-Jones, and she says something snarky because that's the whole thing. And he's the divorce lawyer. He's too fast for love. That's his whole thing. Mm-hmm. And she gets him, and he just looks at her and he goes, "You fascinate me." And I just love these moments. I love the moments in I love the moment in When Harry Met Sally, when they're at the museum and he's doing the waiter. There is too much pepper in my paprikash, right? And like in that moment, like you start to see it, but it's not clear. Yeah. Like that's actually a really good moment because you could miss it if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the moment when you're like, okay. I love that. That's my favorite thing. That's my favorite trope.
That's lovely.
I love the letting down of the guard. It's so important to me.
I love that you love that, and that is a wonderful moment. I didn't even consider it as a trope.
Sure.
Simply because, tension and the release of tension is not a trope unique to romantic comedy.
No.
That's not to no. Downplay your answer.
The way that but the release of tension in this particular dynamic
that's fair. This might surprise you. I don't like any of them. None of the tropes that I came up with do I enjoy. Not one.
Andy.
Yes. And again, When Harry Met Sally is either my number 1 or number 2 movie of all time.
You don't like, I don't even like the word and I'm going to use it. You don't like meet cutes?
Stick with me. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Do your thing. No, all right, maestro. All right, maestro.
But I
didn't say it was. It's just going to be masterful.
I love romantic comedies. I love them. But it is absolutely a genre that I love in spite of its tropes. Okay.
Name 5 of them that you love off the top of your head without working hard. Don't rank them. Just say things you love. When Harry Met Sally, Goodbye Girl. What else?
Movies?
Yeah.
Sure. When Harry Met Sally.
Give us your bona fides here. Show us what you got.
Sure. When Harry Met Sally, The Goodbye Girl, let's see. I'm trying to think of like interesting ones, right?
Nah, don't. Just think about the stuff you like.
No, you're not the boss of me.
Damn it. I want to be the boss of you.
Let's see. I have actually grown to like You've Got Mail. That actually was.
Yes. That movie will grow on you.
But I liked it, but it was not a movie that I liked it from the beginning. I have grown to love it.
Joe versus the Volcano.
Nope.
It's one of mine.
That's fine. Arthur.
Oh yeah, you do love that.
Let's see. Bull Durham.
Oh, good call. Deer Hunter. Go on. Kramer versus Kramer. I got you.
Defending Your Life.
Oh, Defending Your Life.
Defending Your Life. How many is that? Have I said?
You're fine. You've done great. Yeah. Just now go on. Now go on.
Okay. Yes. No. That's fair. I'm not just some schmuck. I really do love this genre.
Generally.
Well, I am just some schmuck, but I do.
And also.
Yeah, and also, right. This is a thing in addition to. So here are the tropes that I thought of, and I dislike all of them. First off, the reason this genre exists because Hollywood is filled with beautiful people, and you have to have some conflict. The impossibly hot lead that cannot keep a man or a woman because they wear glasses or because they laugh weird,
oh man,
because they are too dedicated to their jobs, and their jobs always seem to be this like no one actually has this job.
Right.
The not the archetypal, but the one that I'm thinking of right now is Bad Moms, which is a glorious movie, and hilarious. What
does she do?
What is her job? What is Mila Kunis's job? She works for a startup, a coffee startup. She has no title they ever refer to. She doesn't deal with anyone except for the CEO and someone else who's in the room. She does. I don't know what we never see her working, but when she leaves, the place dissolves into Lord of the Flies inside of a week.
Right. Go away. Love you guys. My kids just showed up. Sorry.
That's okay. It's crazy. They don't know what Mila Kunis does in that movie either.
Nobody could possibly understand what she does in that movie.
No.
Do you know what you're reminding me of right now? One of the tropes I hate is just like everybody having the nicest house imaginable or the best apartment or like the most like.
Oh, right. Sure.
What do you do?
Right. I mean,
like, what did Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston do to get that apartment in Friends?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's the best apartment ever.
Yes, the archetype of this is not a movie. It is
the TV show.
Yes.
It's Friends specifically, but every Nancy Meyers movie is just like, well, it's just.
Yes. Like, I mean, look, again, I love this movie, but how does Meg Ryan afford her apartment in You've Got Mail? Like,
oh yeah, no, like, yep, no,
like nope. She'd be living out on Long Island, maybe. Right? Yeah. So yeah. Next, the sassy best friend who is either.
You hate this.
So
you're literally listing tropes that you hate when she said not to list tropes that you hate.
Yep. No. She said don't list tropes I love to hate. I genuinely hate these.
I'm going to eat some ice cream while you tell me the story.
Do it. I don't.
My wife brought me ice cream.
That's wonderful. I don't have any. This is what I have to do because I don't have any tropes in this genre that I love. So the sassy best friend, this goes one of two ways. Either they are utterly insufferable in every way, or they are so clearly more interesting and better in every way than the actual romantic lead that I'm like, why is no one dating this person? It drives me crazy.
So do any of the movies that you love have anything in common?
Stick with me, kid. Okay.
Oh, you're still going. Okay, go ahead.
I said I had 4. I've done 2.
I'm listening. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You know what?
I got distracted by the ice cream. Okay. Things happen in this house.
You know what? Okay.
Okay.
The last 2 I can get through quickly because literally these are my notes. The meet cute. Ugh. Just ugh. That's literally my entire note for it. And this will probably really surprise you. The grand declaration at the end. Just don't. No. Absolutely not. No. Now.
Uh-huh.
Now, you are likely wondering, all right, how do I love so many romantic comedies if this is all the case?
Yeah. I'm sitting here wondering that exact thing.
Well, I'm glad you let me know that you're wondering it, Phil, because here's how.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty simple. The best romantic comedies are just good movies, right?
Okay.
Like, and that's a basic statement, but also like it's not something that we talk about. Like we talk about like, ooh, Die Hard is a good action movie, but it's like also a really good movie. But honestly, other than When Harry Met Sally, which it doesn't happen too much even with that, just because it's far enough in the past now, I feel like we don't talk about really good romantic comedies as being good movies too. We do, but we're better than most people. So there's that.
So maybe you don't really love romantic comedies. Maybe you love good movies.
Hold up. Oh, well, that's true. I mean, that's true, but that's also true for just about every genre except for zombie.
I know.
Where I will watch crap.
Actually watch garbage, yeah.
Yes. So here's the deal. They will either subvert the trope or the writing, acting, directing, whatever is so good that it doesn't matter. So I have an example of each. So the trope at the end is the person who cannot, who the person pursuing says the thing, right?
Yep.
Says the thing, and oh, it's
yep.
I won't let you leave me. You complete me. You right, and then the only thing Renee Zellweger to say is you had me at hello.
Right. Great.
And that's a great moment. That's a great moment. That's fine.
It's a really well-made movie that's total garbage, actually. But go ahead.
Yes, that just hugs the trope and it is a memorable moment, but it is not all that great. However, Roxanne, the Steve Martin movie, the giant declaration at the end of that movie is not made by the Cyrano character, by Steve Martin. Roxanne comes to him and she says, I love you, I love your nose. I love your big, beautiful nose, and I love you. These other men, they have flat, featureless faces, and all that's left for him to do is like gymnastics off the roof.
I need to watch Roxanne again tonight.
You do.
Oh gosh, it's so good.
So, and that seems like a simple thing, but it's not, because it shows you that the people who made this movie are thinking. And then you will be totally unsurprised that this is my example.
It has to be. You have to be about to say.
The other thing where it's just so good it doesn't matter is Billy Crystal's speech at the end of
Has to be.
Because it is
It's a perfect moment.
It's a perfect moment, and he's so good, and she is so good, and the directing is good, and everything that has led up to that. That moment is made possible by his walk alone through New York City.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is a perfect time to catch up on my window shopping. Like it is a perfect moment. So that's my answer. And like these moments, like this moment, When Harry Met Sally, in a lot of ways, created the modern romantic comedy, right? Mm-hmm. And even the other great ones have sort of been trying to play catch up the entire time. Yep. That moment has not been topped. I might go out on a limb.
The movie hasn't been topped. The whole movie hasn't been topped.
Sure. I feel weird saying that because I've already told people it's my favorite movie. So I feel weird like,
no, but it hasn't been topped. It makes me want to live in New York, which I think that's not a feeling I should have.
I heard someone say something once about Superman. Like the problem with Superman as a character is that he's the first superhero, but he is also the everything superhero.
Right? Like he can shoot laser beams out of his eyes. He can fly. He's bulletproof. He's right.
All of this stuff, right?
Right.
And so they've had to get really creative in making enemies for him and all of
right.
This. Well, Harry Met Sally is kind of the same thing. Like it created the genre as we know it today.
Yeah.
And yet we're still playing catch up. We're still playing catch up. It doesn't mean other things can't be your favorite, but like it is objectively just a phenomenal movie.
I would watch that again right now.
Me too. So that's how I can dislike all of the tropes. Although I will grant you that if I had considered like the moment of turn, right, which in a lot of ways is from the like the classical perspective, that's actually the climax of the movie, right? Where you're like, oh, boop, no, something's changed, right?
Well, but it's not like in the real classic, like in the sort of like Greek comedy idea. It's still not, because they still have to get together.
That's fair.
Getting together is the climax. It has to be. It's the moment where the turn happens, but they're still not together. That's what's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
How you feeling, buddy?
I feel great. I feel fantastic. Because you know what? You were really kind of annoyed with me about my stance on this, and I brought you back around at the end. I did.
The ice cream helped.
Yeah.
You did great. I actually liked your answer. It's just I was frustrated at first because I didn't see it coming, and
like all the best romantic comedies, right?
Well played. Look at you. There you did it.
Shall we return to Josh's lightning round questions?
Oh my gosh, Josh has lightning round questions.
Here's the deal, and I screwed this up. Sorry, Josh.
It's all right. I didn't look at. I don't.
Okay, cool.
We're good.
Josh sent me 2 questions and Phil 2 questions. He did not send me Phil's questions, or vice versa. So we're going to ask these 4 questions. They're going to be quick. I mean, a little explanation maybe, but honestly, I don't have much to say about anything, or either of my 2. And then and then Phil has to come up with his answers on the spot.
Right.
Okay. Do you want me to give you?
We'll do one each. We'll go 1-1-1-1.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
Which Coen Brothers duo?
Ooh.
Yes. You will hate this
Coen
one.
Brothers what?
Duo.
Oh, I'm already excited.
Yes. Would you most enjoy being on the lam with or avoiding legal entanglements with?
Sure.
Okay. 4. Delmar and Pete from
Oh.
Walter and
Y'all are
Donnie.
about as dumb as a bag of hammers.
Walter and Donnie from Big Lebowski. Gail and Evel from Raising Arizona.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Yes. And Maddie and LaBeouf from True Grit.
It's oh wow. Okay, hold on. I mean, it's Maddie and LaBeouf. For me, it's Maddie and LaBeef. It's Maddie and LaBeef without question. She's my favorite character. She might be my favorite character theirs of all time.
Sure.
He's ridiculous but useful.
Sure.
The Raising Arizona guys are idiots and not very nice. The Oh Brother Where Art Thou guys are idiots and not very nice.
Sure.
And I would probably like feel the most at home with Walter and Donnie. but I'm all set.
That is okay. My answer is the same.
Good.
That is the same for basically the same reason. Just, I wanted to put Delmar and Pete because they're, as to use not a line from the movie, they're just both dumb as a box of hair. But
yeah.
But they're generally sweet. I mean, but that face you just made is why they're
not actually. They're bad people, and then you just forget because they're so funny.
Exactly. So it sounds weak for me to say by process of elimination, but it really is. So there.
Are you ready for yours?
Bring it.
Which Tarantino character?
Okay.
Would you least like to be quarantined with?
Oh boy.
Cliff Booth from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Rick Dalton from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction. Or Django from Django Unchained. Which would you least like to be quarantined with?
This is hard because I wouldn't mind any of those people, really. Like, I mean,
if you had to, all of them, yeah.
Right.
I mean, clearly you want to hang out with Django.
Like, right.
The
clearly
most.
It's not Django. Vincent Vega would. Okay. So let me knock out 2 real quick.
Sure.
Django. Yes, we're good. Right. Cliff Booth. We're good there. I'm fine there because he knows how to do stuff.
Yep.
Right?
I was literally because you're in a quarantine to have someone who's capable of fixing stuff.
Yes.
And basically just wants to hang out.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm paying attention.
And so my other 2 are Rick Dalton and Vincent Vega.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
this, by the way, was my this was my final two as well. By
sure.
the way, I'll let you know.
Okay, this is weird. I feel like Rick Dalton would be more insufferable to live with in his own home. Like, if I was quarantined at his place, I would not want to be quarantined at his place because we're surrounded by
posters of him.
Yes, that sounds miserable to me.
Yes.
But on a global scale, we are in random house X. I think my answer's that is actually harder. I think my answer is Vincent Vega.
Because he's a dope fiend.
Yeah.
And kind of adult.
Yeah.
We don't realize it because he's so cool in like the way that he's presented.
It's true.
But he's basically a loser.
Yeah. I mean, look, however spiritual you want to get from the universe to God, he gets an extraordinary, he and his coworker get a very clear sign, stop doing what you're doing.
Right.
The coworker sees the sign for what it is. He does not.
He doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a disaster. And he was almost my choice. And I ended up going with Rick Dalton because in terms of quarantine, like I genuinely think he would be easier to deal with. I bet I'd have more fun conversations with Vincent Vega. I bet we'd watch more dumb stuff, and it wouldn't be about him. And Rick Dalton,
Totally fair.
so about himself,
Totally fair.
A genuine drunk.
True.
Yeah. We would sit around hating hippies together, and that would be fun.
Amen.
But
Yes.
other than that, yeah,
Right.
no. Okay, mine. What's your next one?
You can only watch one Indiana Jones movie ever again.
Oh,
Which one?
oh,
Raiders, Temple, Last Crusade. Wait, I have commentary. No Kingdom, the Crystal Skull. What's up, bro? Anyway,
really?
he doesn't list that as an
He doesn't
option.
even list it.
He doesn't even list it.
I think you know what's up with that. My answer will hits Last Crusade. That's my favorite Indiana Jones movie, and I know Raiders of the Lost Ark is the classic, but Last Crusade is my favorite of the three, and it's the most fun for me to watch, and I would watch it. I've watched it the most recently, and I would watch it again right now if I could. I love Last Crusade.
It pains
It's just a delight.
It pains me to never watch Last Crusade again. But the answer for me is Raiders. I mean,
Sure.
like,
Sure.
that's it.
Sure.
Like, I don't think it's less fun. Again, not insulting your choice. I think it is. I think it might actually be. I don't think it might be. It is more fun for me. There are aspects of Last Crusade that don't, for me, hold up. Chiefly, what is Denholm Elliott's character's name?
I don't even know who that is.
The British guy. Like,
I don't know.
his they make him
His name
sort
is
of
Secret Nazi, I think.
Hmm?
I think his name is Secret Nazi.
No. His friend that is in Raiders and then comes back in Last Crusade.
Oh,
yes.
I
Right.
forget his name.
They make him kind of a buffoon in Last Crusade.
Yeah.
But like in the first one, he's indie. He's just 20 or 30 years older. Like,
interesting. I need to watch Raiders again.
Like, it is, yeah. And
I need to watch Raiders again.
And there is just no one like Karen Allen in that movie. So
no, that's not wrong. And I've got a spoiler alert for you. Raiders comes up later in our podcast.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Andy. Pick 2 soundtracks.
Okay.
Star Wars.
Okay.
Superman.
Okay.
Indiana Jones.
Okay.
E.T. Home Alone. Jurassic Park. Harry Potter. Pick 2.
Give me again.
Just a bunch of John Williams stuff. Come on.
I mean, sure.
Star Wars.
So here's the deal.
Star Wars.
Okay.
Superman.
Right.
Indiana Jones.
Sure.
E.T.
That's one of them.
Home Alone. Jurassic Park. Harry Potter.
I'm gonna go with E.T. And here's what I'm struggling with. Here because I've narrowed it down to 3. Okay.
Yeah.
While I love all of those.
Yeah, of course.
I've narrowed it down to, I think E.T. is definite, and then it's Star Wars or Superman.
Yep. Agreed. Everything you and I are on the same page so far, except for me, it's Star Wars is a gimme, and then E.T. and Superman were the ones I had to think about. And then
I will go Star Wars. I will say this. The theme, the Superman, because he asked about like soundtracks.
Yes, he did.
Ask about like the theme.
Right.
Superman, depending on the day, is my top. It's glorious. It is glorious.
Yeah.
And I will also say this, and this is sort of weird. When we were picking music for our wedding, the soundtrack that made it the farthest down the "is this what we want to walk down the aisle to if we want to do this" is Jurassic Park.
The main
Yes.
theme?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Didn't happen, which is fine.
It's romantic. It is romantic in its own way.
Exactly. Yeah, but no, I'll go E.T. and Star Wars.
E.T. and Star Wars is good. I mean, here's the thing. I don't actually remember Home Alone being a John Williams soundtrack, but the rest of these I assume are all John Williams, and they're all lovely. Like it's a no lose situation. I actually the Superman. I'm not a huge Superman. I grew up on Superman 2.
When you say that, do you mean like a huge fan of Superman 1 the movie or the character, or like what do you mean when you say?
I'm just gonna kind of blanket that. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, Superman was the first one I really knew, right?
Sure.
So I grew up on Superman 2. I've seen Superman 1 like twice. I've seen Superman 2 like 400 times, right? Because it's just the one. We were that family that had HBO, which is amazing, and that had a ton of blank VHSs, and I had older brothers and parents who cared. So I had about that anyway. So I had just a ton of movies, recorded. And specific ones. But strangely, so I've seen Grease 2 like more times than you want to know. I've seen Grease 1, I think once, which I think actually, that's one of the ones that I'm completely comfortable with that. Like when people, I mean, every time people remind me of what the synopsis of the movie Grease, I'm like, I'm perfectly happy to not have that as a part of my life.
Sure.
But anyways, but the music for Superman 2 and the music for Superman, I mean, the score is, it's rousing. It's amazing. It's fantastic. And you can, when you hear it, you can see the colors, the red and the blue that are used. So I shouldn't say I'm not a Superman person, because like the color of Superman's like cape.
It's iconic.
Like
and it's iconic
sticks. Like it's a color, you know. But in Jurassic Park would just be fun. But I would like. It's also like it. I just feel like it's inviting disaster.
Sure.
I just really do. Like we're courting disaster.
Right.
And Indiana Jones is such a joy.
Yeah.
Like my God, I actually think, now that I think about it, Indiana Jones is a much closer second than I want to admit.
Yeah, for me too.
Because it's just like delightful and rousing. It's all the stuff.
It was definitely number 4 for me, behind the ET and the 2 that I was choosing between, and the gap is larger between 4 and everything else than any other gap.
Yes, ET still, like, I just watched ET a week ago, so or 2. Time doesn't matter anymore with what's happening, right?
Right.
But
or
sometime during the quarantine, I watched ET. Anyways, I love this question, but we're good. And nothing, wild horses couldn't drag me away from the next question.
Yes, folks. This is our next question. This is our last question. We'll end with this. This is from a dear friend of the podcast, Evan. Evan has asked,
where's Evan living these days?
Oh, who knows? Evan is in Vietnam, teaching high school, because that's what Evan does. He is
what a hipster.
To Vietnam, right? He has moved to Vietnam from China. He left
California. He left the United States before it was cool.
That's right. He
sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. He is yes, he's from Cleveland, and we know him from college.
No.
But yes,
the mistake by the lake.
There it is. Here is Evan's question.
Oh.
Can you put together a set of 3 movies made at least 10 years apart that, when seen together, seem like they belong together? A constructed trilogy, if you will. I will want one from each of you. He also said to me personally, Andy, if you chose Star Wars episodes 4, 1, and 9, I will be very disappointed. I assured him, no, I did not. That wouldn't.
Right.
We've said this already. This is maybe the best question we have ever gotten. Like, it is so good.
I don't want to listen. I don't want to overstate things.
Sure. No.
But questions like this question is why we did this. Why we do this podcast. And I don't mean this episode. I mean, like.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Listen, I don't want to put too much pressure on this question, but it's the greatest question anyone has ever asked us. I hated this question when I saw it.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at the question and I was like, and I don't mean how am I going to answer it. I literally looked at it and I was like, how dare you ask me this? This is obnoxious. And then, which just probably says more about me. And then I sat in the question and soaked it up and was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, you need to come up with one per person. Well, I came up with 4 and they're all inadequate. And I feel like we're going to keep coming back at this like for the rest of our lives.
So I have 5 trilogies to talk about.
Yeah.
But 2 of them don't work. Like I just think because they don't fit the 10-year rule that he has.
Okay.
And
all of
another
mine
one,
fit all of the rules because I'm not a jerk. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to tell people about good movies. I mean, if you would rather be pedantic, then go ahead.
Oh, no, of course I would rather be
pedantic. You're right. That's right.
Why did you? I thought that we...
Right. I'm sorry. That was me too.
All these years and you still... Okay.
Yes. Okay. Do you want... Shall I give you my trilogies that don't work first?
I don't... So... Do they deserve mentioning? I mean, how much time are we going to spend on them is my real question.
Not long. But they're really good because I'm really good at this. I mean,
okay.
I am.
If we're going to do trilogies that don't work, then I have a trilogy that I'm going to add.
Okay.
That I wanted to add, but I didn't because it didn't work.
Why are you saying this like you're winning something? I'm freely supporting you doing it.
I don't know, man. It's been a day.
So yeah, I'm 100% on board with you adding this thing, right?
I can tell. That's fine. I just needed to be indignant about something.
Well,
and you are such a good you provide me. You're a good provider.
I mean, I do what I can.
So I don't know. So do we do the I mean, how do you want I guess the real question is like how do you want this thing to culminate? This is the kind of conversations we should have offline, but that's okay. Like how
we should have prepped for this and we
should have prepped for this. We didn't. Like, do you want to finish with like the great one, or do you want to?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Here's your. So y'all are about to hear. He told us to give you 2 trilogies, and between the 2 of us, you're about to hear about 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 30 movies instead of 3, instead of 6.
It's true.
So surprise.
Yep. Here are at this point, Phil. If people are still listening, they're okay with that.
Right? Evan is listening.
Yeah.
Evan and Josh are paying attention at this point. Thanks.
That's guys. Right. Bobby and Meg have better things to do.
Meg listened for her question, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
It was like, I'm all set.
Okay, so here are the 2 that don't work because they are not all 3 movies are 10 years apart.
10 years apart.
Red Dawn, 1984. Toy Soldiers, 91. That's the one that breaks it.
Yeah.
Attack the Block.
Oh, great. I love it.
Yes.
I see what you've done.
Yes, it breaks the 10-year rules, but this trilogy is basically the same movie in 3 different settings. It's kids defending something, right? Yep. Kids defending their country in Red Dawn, kids defending their school in Toy Soldiers, kids defending their apartment building in Attack the Block. They all have like dramatic and comedic elements to it. I think it works as a trilogy really well. It just doesn't conform to this question.
And they are different enough, right? That they have different elements to them.
It would not feel like you're watching the same movie 3 times. No, not at all. My other one, I've already mentioned one of these movies, but American History X in 1998, Green Street Hooligans in 2005, and Animal Kingdom in 2010. The 2005-2010 is, of course, what breaks Evan's rule. These 3 movies really fall in line with the whole like loner falls in with a welcoming but violent and evil.
I'd also like to point out 1998 and 2005 also doesn't work.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Right.
None of it works, but the thematic aspect works, which is great.
Yes. And then very quickly, one that works, but I don't love it because it feels like cheating because I have made a trilogy out of a longer series.
Sure.
It's The Living Dead. It's the Living Dead series. Specifically, Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, and Land of the Dead.
Interesting.
I
You
left
skipped
out.
the literal best one.
I did. I
Okay.
did because I think thematically, Land of the Dead works. I couldn't do both Dawn and Day because that would break the rule, the 10-year rule. And if you're going to take out one of them, Dawn of the Dead, I don't think leads in as well to Land, and it also doesn't necessarily share the same sort of nihilism that Day of the Dead does.
I get it.
So that's why I went that way. Although you're absolutely right, the best movie of the 4 that I just mentioned is absolutely the one I left out.
Fascinating.
Yes, there you go. Those are my.
I love it. I love it. The one that I have that doesn't fit would be an all Scorsese trilogy.
I love it.
And it would be Goodfellas, Casino, Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay.
People had often said like, oh, Casino was Goodfellas Part 2 or whatever. Like,
sure.
You know, I loved Goodfellas. I loved Casino the first time I saw it. It was called Goodfellas. It was like a David Spade joke or whatever. But like, Casino's a brilliant, phenomenal movie. What I think I want to put in there, and a more natural one would be Goodfellas, Casino, Irishman, Confession. There were people who hated Irishman, and there were people who loved Irishman. I thought I fell into the category. I fell into the category of I thought it was okay. Which
some people thought we were okay.
Right. Like Mitch Hedberg used to say, I used to be in a heavy metal band. We were heavy boy. So people either loved us or they hated us or they thought we were okay. like the Irishman, I was like, okay. Like, I'm not sure you needed to make a 3.5-hour movie. But okay.
I haven't seen it. I couldn't.
It's
like.
I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to talk with you about it.
Sure.
And it's better. I kind of feel like it's both better and worse than I think it is. But they use the same conceits with the narrations, but the difference actually, the reason Irishman doesn't fit is it's not a rise or fall type of situation. When you watch the narrative of Goodfellas, the Casino narrative is very, very similar, even though it's a very different story. And it is a different story. The fact that it's the mafia and that De Niro and Pesci are in it, but it's a different story and it's doing something different. Sure. Wolf of Wall Street is a very similar dynamic, and the fact that he's using the same structure, to me, actually tries to explain to us what he's like. Those Wall Street types that he's trying to describe, like he wants us to think of them as mobsters. Like that's part of the point.
Right.
And I also think Wolf of Wall Street, even though it was nominated for awards and blah blah blah, I actually think it's an underrated movie in his canon. I think it's like genuinely brilliant and needs to be like more attention should be paid to it. It doesn't work because Goodfellas is 1990 and Casino's 1997.
Sure.
So that's the only one I came up with that doesn't actually work. Sure. Everything else I've got fits in the category, and I'm not sure how we want to do this.
You have 2. I have 2. You want to go?
I have.
And I'll go.
No.
And you'll go, and then I'll go.
No, I have 4, Andy.
Oh.
So I can go. I don't have to talk about all of them like heavily, but I've got 4 of them.
Go do it, and then I'll go. Go for it.
I'm going to give you a couple of them. I'm going to give you my 2 runners up first.
Okay.
And then I'm going to give you my 2 favorites.
Okay.
Okay. My second runner up. This is if you are interested in the hero's journey. If you are interested in watching a sort of a singular figure who follows what some would call like Joseph Campbell, noted professor of mythology, and teaches this idea that he was a big fan, Lucas was a big fan of, and followed this sort of what he considered to be sort of like a hero's journey that was sort of like a, what do you call it, a template for what you'll find throughout stories, throughout history, across cultures and across times, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Like when I taught a class on mythology in high school, I taught the hero's journey so people would understand what that looked like. And I showed a couple of these movies, and they are all 10 years apart, at least. The first one is The Last Temptation of Christ. And what's fascinating about The Last Temptation of Christ, there's a lot of things that are fascinating about it. But what's fascinating is the changes that the guy who wrote it, I forget his name, who wrote the book, and then it's something, it's Polish, I think. But then the screenplay that Scorsese produced or directed anyway, it turns Jesus more into a hero's journey guy than he actually is. Like people like a lot of times, oh, hero's journey, like Jesus. Not if you actually pay attention to the stories that are presented in the Bible, about which I care deeply. The hero develops in the story.
Right.
Jesus doesn't develop in the Gospels. Jesus shows up in Luke. There's some minor allusions to like, well, he's a child, so he's growing up. But
Sure.
once Jesus shows up on the scene, he's not there to learn.
He's fully formed.
He's there to do the work.
In what he's there to
In
do.
Last Temptation, what is portrayed is a character named Jesus who is realizing the hero's journey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got
My
it.
next one, and so then if you want to like, the idea of watching these three movies together is you would then get like hammered into your head. I understand the hero's journey.
Okay.
And the next, so then the next one would be The Matrix with Neo.
Okay. Sure.
And then the last one would be Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I love it.
And so what I love about this
Okay.
trilogy, aside from the fact is that it shows these three, it shows them in very, very different contexts. Although both Matrix and Scott Pilgrim versus the World have this sort of like modern sort of technological sort of aspect to them, but they're even them, you know, one's literally about getting the girl, one's about saving humanity, and the other one's like about, I guess, saving humanity, depending on how, I forget how Scorsese portrays Jesus. I mean, like saving everything, I guess, because of the whole Jesus thing. But like,
Sure.
they follow this path in all of them. So if you wanted to do like a hero, if you wanted to like drill into your mind, how does it work, but also have enough differences that you could sort of like play with it, then that would be my trilogy: Last Temptation, Matrix, and Scott Pilgrim.
I love that. That is fantastic.
My next one is a little bit more abstract. Not that much more, let's be honest. It's still me, right? So, but it's about how women, well, it starts with All About Eve.
Okay.
Betty Davis, and Anne Baxter, 1951.
Love it.
Which I've just seen recently, and it's absolutely spectacular. It's one of those movies that's a classic, and then you actually watch it and you're like, because sometimes you'll see classics and you're like, okay. And then sometimes you'll watch a classic and you'll be like, oh, got it.
Yeah.
That's All About Eve is a movie that you you should like watch.
Yes.
Like if that movie doesn't, if you don't like it, that's on you, is how it is with this film.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Like I actually wouldn't, like if someone was like, I just couldn't watch the 4-hour samurai movie, I'd be like, you know what? It's cool. I get it. Genuinely, that is something that I am enjoying, and I don't need everyone to like it. It's so meaningful to me,
Right.
and it's personal in some weird way, but you don't need to. But like All About Eve is like, if you don't like this, that's just on you, right? That's just on you. While I was watching All About Eve, there were different aspects of it that I saw popping up in other movies that I'd already seen, and I would love to be able to watch those other movies in light of All About Eve. With All About Eve as sort of like the text of the whole thing, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna go later, and then I'm gonna go earlier. The next one is the latest film, and it's Single White Female, which is not a great movie, but it's a really important movie for our generation. Every single person in our generation either has seen or understands when I say Single White Female what I mean.
Yes.
Jennifer Jason Leigh, Bridget Fonda, pulpy B movie, totally terrifying and fantastic.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Never seen it.
Believe you. You should.
Or
not. I mean, honestly, or not. But
sure, I believe you. But here's the deal: that I prove your point. I'm not even.
You know exactly
because all you have to do, I don't even need the words. If you like write to me SWF, like that movie is conjured in my head. Yes.
And you can picture Bridget Fonda with the red pixie cut.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Okay, so Single White Female is fantastically. I mean, it's like Hand That Rocks the Cradle, B movie, like terrifying, person that it's not supposed to be terrifying, but is.
Yeah.
But it plays like it goes. If you take the All About Eve storyline of two women who, because they're women in our society, and in the lives that they're living, you want to see them like take care of each other, and like there should be a space of nurturing and like looking out for each other. And it turns out one of them is there's something parasitic and something really malevolent underneath it.
Yeah.
Which is I mean, I almost feel like two men shouldn't even be talking about it, but like,
sure.
Like just let women, like, let's just get, like two women to come in and talk right now, but like you get that there are these dynamics where you want to see, we know in this patriarchal reality how women are meant to look out for each other, but we also know, because they have no other choice oftentimes, but also we know how that can be undermined, and how being part of the but also the patriarchal society is so a corruption. It's corrosive to everybody's spirit, men and women.
Yeah.
So when people turn against each other, it's understandable.
Right. Yes. There's no. When I say they often don't.
You weren't being a dirty sexist man. I get it. Right. If someone took all of the clever sort of like show busy aspect of All About Eve away and took all of the comedy away and just said, let's take the basic bare bones of this and make it terrifying, single white female.
Yep.
If someone said, let's take all the terrifying stuff away and keep the show business aspect and then and the humor, the show business, the humor, and really ramp up the question of all of the issues about being a woman in show business and what it means, how women feel compared to men and aging and sexuality and all that. Tootsie. So that's my trilogy: All About Eve, Single White Female, and Tootsie.
That's great.
And I'm really proud of that one.
You should
I'm really proud of that one, but it would, and they're all enjoyable movies.
You did something here that I did not do with any of mine. You presented them out of chronological order.
I only did it with that one, which I didn't mean to do.
No, that's fine. That was not in his rules, and that was not something that I actually considered, because
I think you'll have a better day if you end your day on Tootsie than if you end your day.
That is exactly what I was about to say. Like, I don't want to. I'm not ending. Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay. So yes.
Okay. You do one.
All right. Okay. This is my dark underbelly of
I have one of those
of adolescence trilogy.
Andy. I'm so oh my gosh, I'm so excited. By the way, so far none of the same movies.
Yes, and you haven't hit any of mine.
No.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, good.
We start in the 1970s with a little Brian De Palma ditty, Carrie.
Oh.
1976. Yes, it is remembered for the final
trilogy.
scene. It is remembered for the final scene, but that entire movie leads up to that final scene. And yes, Piper Laurie as the mother is yikes. But also high school.
So is everybody else.
Everyone else is terrible, except for Betty Buckley.
For like a minute, right, basically.
Right. She's the teacher.
Right.
Yes. Moving on to 1988, Heathers.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
This is good.
Heathers. This is not my favorite of my two trilogies, only because I think the other one is actually either more fun or less soul destroying. Anyway. 6 of 1, Heathers. Maybe the best dark comedy about teenagedom ever. Like, it's in the discussion.
It has to be in the discussion.
It is, yes. I'm going to give an honorable mention here to a movie that doesn't work. Okay. And that is because Heathers was 88 and this came out in 1994, called Fresh, which is a movie about a young black kid who is a drug runner for rival drug gangs.
Oh,
Have you seen it?
No.
It's brilliant.
You've told me about this before.
It's brilliant. The two gangs know about the other gang, but they don't care that he's running for them because they sell different drugs. Right. And his father, who is not in his life except for this one thing, his father is played by Samuel L. Jackson as functionally a homeless person who is a speed chess wizard. So he makes his money by like 3-card Monte, except for him. I
am looking this movie up. I have to know everything about it.
Yes. And all I'll say is this: after a tragedy happens to this kid, This is going to make it sound cheesy, perhaps, and it is not. He takes revenge on both of the gangs using like the principles of chess. Like I am going to think 3 steps ahead of both of these and play them off each other, and it is amazing. Doesn't work, but honorable mention because it
has to be mentioned, right?
Yes. And then the final movie after Carrie and Heathers in 2002, the movie that came from MTV Studios and should not have ever been made because it was too good for MTV Studios.
What is it?
Better Luck Tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen this, and you love this movie so much.
It is so good. It is about 4 Asian American high school students who get away with anything because they're all A students, and Asians can't be bad. And so what they do is it's very, very funny. And it's like charming and winning. And these 4 guys start by selling answers to tests.
Sure.
And the places it goes.
Yeah.
The places this movie goes. I'm going to say something pretentious and I don't care.
Great.
Most of the time, I'm not surprised by movies, right?
Right.
Like I'm not.
No, right,
right?
Sure.
There was never a moment in this movie where I thought, I know what's going to happen next, and I was right. Not once. There are moments that I'm going to steer clear of spoilers. There are moments where it's like, oh, this is how they get the main character out of the way so he's not like responsible for what happens next.
Nope, that didn't happen.
No. And it goes some truly horrifying places. Of these 3,
I gotta see this movie.
Of these 3, Carrie, Heathers, and Better Luck Tomorrow, the movie that goes the most horrifying places
is Better Luck Tomorrow.
It might be.
Wow.
I mean, the end,
it's in the conversation.
The end scene in Harry is the end.
Sure.
But.
Oh my gosh.
But there's a discussion over it. So.
But does it have Christian Slater?
No, but it does have John Cho.
Oh, okay.
And oh my God.
Tell me.
It has Han from the Fast and the Furious movies.
What?
No.
Okay, I'm in.
Not prepared for
I'm all the way in.
Oh my God.
It might be. Excited. Okay, I love it. All right. I'm going to give you my next trilogy.
Okay.
And then you're going to give me your next trilogy.
Okay.
Andy, you're going to love this trilogy. You're going to be slightly annoyed by what I didn't put in it.
Okay.
But you'll be okay.
I'm certain I will be. Go.
I think we really needed a Paul Newman trilogy. Yeah, you're welcome. Ahead of time, you're welcome.
And you didn't put Cool Hand Luke in, did you?
And I didn't put Cool Hand Luke in, which is probably my favorite Paul Newman film, as well as yours.
Sure. Is that what I'd be annoyed about?
I wanted to create the possibility of essentially the same guy. And he dies at the end of Cool Hand Luke. Sorry, everybody.
It's a Christ allegory. He's got
it. Right, it's true. It's part of the deal. I mean, I feel bad, but also, I do feel bad. I actually feel bad I said that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Shoot.
You should still.
Anyways, I hate that I did that. Cool Hand Luke is so good. Okay. And in this movie, the character moves along, and so the first one is the classic, The Hustler.
Love.
Fast Eddie Felson. He's a pool shark, right? The whole bit goes up against what is it? Minnesota Fats goes up against Jackie Gleason.
So good.
So good, The Hustler.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is they already made a sequel technically to this, The Color of Money in the 80s, and it's a Scorsese movie, and you think I picked it. I didn't.
That's fine.
Okay? Because the next movie after The Hustler is this young, like, hot shot, like, loner, too clever for his own good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, exactly the kind of movie that, like a starring vehicle for a big star actor, right? And Newman is in his actually in his like 30s in this movie.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't too old back then. So in 1982, he made a little movie called The Verdict, directed by Sidney Lumet, written by David Mamet. and
I would assume you wouldn't pick it if you haven't seen it, right?
And he plays a hard drinking, much like Fast Eddie, a hard drinking loner hotshot has-been lawyer who stumbles into one last like the one last case story,
Yes.
right? Like coming back out of it.
Yes.
And what does he do with that? Right. So like, what has he learned? Even though it's a completely different character in a completely different time, what has he learned from his hustler days?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I love this. I love
Yeah.
this. I need to
Yeah.
pause you for a second because I want to say this before you say your third movie. The Verdict, not only is I love this theme, by the way.
Yes.
I will say this. As a courtroom movie, movie,
tell me. Yeah.
It has the single, because like every courtroom movie has like the moment where like, ooh, I'm going to pull a rabbit out of a hat with this evidence, and boom, like Mona Lisa Vito's testimony in My Cousin Vinny, right?
Yes.
Like
right.
when the sheriff comes in and says, "Oh, on a hunch, I looked up this other thing.
Right.
It turns out other people could have." Right. That gotcha moment in The Verdict is the single most glorious, like when the witness says what the witness says. I don't want to spoil anything else about it.
Yeah.
Because everyone is like, how do you know? Like, you
right.
And what happens. I like my heart just grew 3 sizes.
I mean, you're making me want to watch it again. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh, so good. And he is like, I would watch that movie without any of the courtroom scenes because Paul Newman is so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Proceed. Third movie.
Now, the funny thing about this is if you watch this movie, this is like, I mean, he was considered like an old man at this point.
Sure.
Like this was Newman in Twilight, right? This was in his Twilight years. This is him in his 60s, essentially, right? He's like 60, 61, and you're like, okay. Then comes Nobody's Fool.
I knew it.
I knew. Of course you knew. Of course you knew.
Oh.
And this is a guy who's lived that way his whole life.
Yeah.
In upstate New York, kind of, Buffalo area, like construction type loser, just kind of like putters around and kind of everybody loves him, everybody hates him sort of thing. I mean, and to say like this is the role, like not all Paul Newman's roles are the same. He did a lot of really interesting things, and he had the charming thing going for him, and he could be like the cat with the canary look for sure.
Yeah.
But in these 3 movies, all of them explore to some degree that guy, like when it doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
When it's not quite what you think it's going to be.
Love it.
And so I just thought about that character sort of, you could watch all 3 and you could suspend a little bit of disbelief, and it's the same character, you could make it the same character in all 3 movies. So that's my Paul Newman trilogy du jour.
I love it.
Feeling good about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Your turn.
So.
This is your big one.
Yeah.
This is your baby.
Oh yeah. And I crushed it. I did. Like this is, and I'll tell you why. Because this was the one that I thought of while also thinking of how we started this podcast, quarantine. Like, what do I want to watch while I'm in quarantine? And these movies they are so much fun that they should be illegal. Like, they should be regulated.
Oh gosh, we have the same trilogy. Here we go.
This is the funny team-up heist movie trilogy.
The funny team-up heist movie trilogy.
More important to team up in the heist than the funny, although all 3 of them definitely.
Can't wait. Love it.
Again, I don't actually have a, I did this in chronological order. I don't know that I have a preference for the order you watch these in, but I think they're all of a piece. Starting chronologically with probably the best movie of the 3, The Sting. Yeah. Yes.
Can't. When I said a Paul Newman trilogy, was there a moment where you were like, uh-oh?
Nope.
Okay, because you just knew it was going to be different.
I wouldn't have cared I wouldn't have cared.
Love it.
The Sting is like, you talk about chemistry, okay? Yeah. The chemistry, everyone in this movie, like a billion people
This is just
Like it is so much fun to watch these people outwit each other and
yes.
set up everything that they set up. I don't even want to tell you anything about it. It is
It's one of the best.
it is impossible not to enjoy this movie. Like honestly, like it's
Yeah.
impossible to enjoy it. It is so much fun. It's so much fun.
It is one of those things. If someone was like, "Oh, I don't like the Sting," you'd be like, "You should just go away,"
Right?
and not because we disagree, because you're a liar,
Right.
like because you're a fundamentally dishonest human.
That's right. That's right. Nope. Don't believe you.
Right. Sorry.
Next,
Yeah.
in 1992, Sneakers.
I do like that both have Redford in them.
It's true. They both have Redford in them.
Okay.
The third one sadly does not.
Okay.
But Sneakers.
I love Sneakers.
I mean, look. As soon as you meet David Strathairn's character, who is a blind man reading a Braille copy of Playboy, that is
You're
like,
either all in or all out at that moment, and
that's exactly the kind of humor you're gonna get.
Yep. Yeah.
And like and Sidney Poitier, Dan Aykroyd, Ben Kingsley, Mary McDonnell. Like,
Oh, Mary McDonnell's great.
everyone is good in this movie.
Steve Tobolowsky.
Oh, yeah. My voice is my passport. Verify me.
There's one word. There's one word I've always wanted to hear a man say.
I've always loved this. I love the sound of it. What's that?
Passport.
Passport? Yeah, it's
Oh.
it's so good. It's so good. It is such a wonderful. We're gonna break into something, and the action is really pretty thrilling. Like River Phoenix. Like.
Oh, I miss him.
It's great. It's great. The young lady with the Uzi, is she single?
it is. You can have anything in the world. You just want her phone number. Yes. It's adorable, man.
212-555. It's so good. It's so good. And we end it with a movie that was dismissed just a little bit as a trifle when it was released in 2011. And has grown in people's esteem because the director is brilliant. The remake of Ocean's 11.
I was hoping you were going to say that. It's a classic of our time.
Yes, it's delightful. It's delightful. It's better than the original. It is.
Oh, of course, that's without saying.
It's everyone with their charm cranked up to 11.
When you talk about a movie where there's chemistry everywhere, all across the board, completely and utterly, that's the movie I think of. Actually,
I think that's right. I think that's right. I do too. Yeah.
I wonder what you'd have to do to not have chemistry with George Clooney.
Like, I don't want to find out.
Let's never know.
Right? I don't want to be the one. Right? I love that all three of these movies play with the audience at the same time as they are playing with the characters.
Yep.
And I will say this: if you did not like any one of these three movies, or if you did not like this as a trilogy, I won't go so far as to say that like you're a bad person.
Sure.
We'll say that we could probably not talk for more than 15 minutes before we realized, we're not gonna be friends. You know?
Yeah, we might have other uses for each other, but friendship won't be one.
Right. Exactly. That's it. That is my trilogy.
I love it. I love it. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it.
Go.
I don't know how to define this next trilogy.
That's fine.
But they connect to me in ways that are so obvious it's ridiculous.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say them, and then we can figure what's up.
Okay.
Casablanca.
Love it.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
National Treasure.
Does National Treasure go to North Africa? Because then because it could be your I don't know, Patton chases Rommel across the desert trilogy.
You know what? Really, it was the adventure in National Treasure that connected me to Raiders of the Lost Ark. But what it really was was the dynamic. It's what happens between Bogart and Bergman.
Yep.
Meeting in that bar.
Yep. Yeah.
And then that's where, like, that same type of place is where Karen Allen and Harrison Ford meet up in Raiders.
Yeah.
And there's not a meetup like that between Cage and I forget her name. She's from
Kruger,
yes,
right?
Cage and Kruger. But the dynamic between Cage and Kruger is literally as if they took like distilled the Harrison Ford, Karen Allen dynamic. It's like if they took like Raiders of the Lost Ark and were like, how do we make this movie completely bananas? Like completely bananas.
True.
But the relationship, like the Bogart Bergman relationship, translates to me to the Ford Allen relationship, which translates to me to the Cage Kruger relationship. So it's actually pivots on the relationships and the sense of sort of like exotic adventure.
I love it.
But beyond that, it's a very loose affiliation of films.
That's okay. That's okay.
But like you know the Paul Newman one and the All About Eve one, like were a little bit like more like focused, but I couldn't help it. I was like, I kept thinking about Indiana Jones showing up in that bar. The way it's like the bizarro version of Bergman showing up in Sam's place.
Right.
And what happens in that space.
Yeah.
It's that same energy.
Yeah.
And realistically, National Treasure 2 actually plays into that energy between Kruger and Cage more. Yes, I'm going to talk about the movies like this. They deserve our time and attention. Attention must be paid. It plays more into that like jilted, like at the beginning and reconnecting at the end dynamic. So I almost feel like I should be picking National Treasure 2. But National Treasure 1's it's just a better movie. And watching, it's just that it's the developing of that relationship. So maybe the order is backwards. Maybe you start with National Treasure, watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, and finish. Like National Treasure is the movie, is like that relationship. That's how they met. And then things break up. And then they re-meet in Raiders and are like, what is this?
Right.
And then they do something that's beautiful and patriotic together that's actually meaningful. And then we don't know what happens again and they split up. And then Casablanca happens. Yes! That's my trilogy. Go backwards.
That's
Finish with Casablanca.
You're also increasing in movie quality if you do that too.
Literally every time.
Like you know, yeah. So
oh gosh. So I mean, you could, depends on it. If you want to like, if you don't drink, go in that order. If you drink, go in the other order. Get drunk while you're doing this and make it like just okay.
Right.
Go crazy with the movies.
So those Evan, those are our recommendations.
Who are you to resist?
Yes, there you go. I think that brings us to the end of the podcast.
Oh my gosh, I loved this one. This was great.
This was good.
May we never talk again.
Right. Thank you all to who wrote in with questions. Thank you for forcing Phil and me to come to the table, forge a détente after years of hating each other,
twisting our rubber arms.
Yeah. No, this was a lot of fun. I will end by saying again, we make no promises that we'll ever do this again, but questions like this will make it more likely because this was just a lot of fun.
Right.
Anything you want to say, Phil?
I hope that we're done with all this quarantine nonsense soon. And I hope this isn't the last time that we do this because it's so much fun and I love it. And I love the idea that some of the people that have cared about this, it was really cool. Andy got married about 2 years ago, a little less than 2 years ago, coming up.
Yeah.
And I was at his wedding, and the number of people, Andy, that walked up to me were like, "Hey, you're the guy who does the podcast with Andy," and I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "When are you guys going to do that again?" And I was like, "Dude, none of my friends ever tell me they give a crap about this." That's not true. Sarah does. Allison has mentioned it. She's our mutual friend. There's been a couple. Meg, of course. Yeah. Josh, I guess, is a mutual friend now because of it. So I guess it is. That's not true. But it feels that way in my heart. Like I'm like, I assume there's 6 people that know about this. And you had like all these random people like, you guys do the podcast. You should do that again. And it was like it was like in the loveliest sense of an ego boost. Like I was like, oh, That was cool. So like, I know that for a very beautiful cadre of our friends, like this is a thing that's fun and weirdly meaningful. And it's fun and weirdly meaningful for me. I think when you and I first started doing it, we kind of had it in our heads, like all guys like us do, that like, if we do this just right, then maybe we'll be famous podcasters.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Influence
and
before that.
and I really liked what we did, and I thought actually we were doing good work and all that. Aside from just enjoying it, I thought it was quality.
Mhm.
But I also just like, who cares? This is fun, and we have a little corner that we get to do this in, and it's fun for us to kind of flesh this stuff out. I will also tell you one last thing, which is, since we started talking about recording and started making our lists and getting ready, like, I know it's the quarantine, but also like my interest in watching really good movies has actually skyrocketed. Not that I'm ever not interested, but like talking, like my hunger for really sitting down and watching, and I've actually already made more time to watch movies, like even in my time, like, again, not quarantine wise, just like, okay, kids are in bed, I'm going to watch a movie instead of something else. Instead of watching TV, or instead of reading, because God forbid you don't want to read. So like that idea, this has been really, like, it's re-energizing me around something that I care very deeply about. So for that, Andy, I thank you.
I thank you as well. I have something to say, and if you'd like me to edit this out later, because this is just for you, I will. Perhaps our viewers will find this interesting as well. In an earlier installment of this podcast, you're talking about the Quarantine Film Festival, and I mentioned my pick for war movie was Stalag 17. And I said, all of this is making me want to watch all of these movies, but Stalag 17 I'm going to watch in the next week. And I watched it last night, and it is brilliant. It is so good. It has lost none of its power.
Yep.
Phil, I'm going to blow your mind, okay? You're not going to remember what this guy looks like, okay?
Yeah.
You're not. Because he's a major supporting character, but he's not William Holden or Peter Graves or John Preminger or whatever. The guy who is the barracks chief, Hoffy.
Okay.
Is the character's name. He's the guy in charge. This little sort of like, I want to say round face, but that's just because I'm comparing him to William Holden, Peter Graves, and literally everyone on Earth is round face compared to those jaws.
That's true.
Right. You know him.
Okay.
The actor
Yeah.
is Richard Erdman. You don't know that name?
No.
He played Leonard on Community.
What?
It's the same guy. It's the same guy. I know.
How did you figure that out? Did you were you like watching and you had to IMDb just cuz?
I was going through the Stalag 17 cast list because everyone was so crazy good that I wanted to. And I was like, Richard Erdman as what, like, Douglas, his first name is Hoffman or whatever it is. And I clicked on it, and
the picture, Leonard shows up.
No, I don't think it does. I think it's a young guy, but you know how Wikipedia has, so I wasn't on IMDb, I was on Wikipedia. You know how it has like known for?
Yeah.
The top two things, I think the third thing was Hogan's Hero.
It was like Stalag 17 and Community.
Community, Stalag 17, Hogan's Heroes.
Speaking of which, first of all, you are correct. Mind blown. Never delete this or edit this from the podcast. Secondly, pour one out. Brian Dennehy died this past week.
Oh, yes.
And all of the notices about him are like, Tommy Boy actor.
Right.
Brian Dennehy died. And I'm like, woof.
You're right. Has no one seen FX?
Broadway legend.
Yes.
But you know what's funny? Is I was like, haven't they seen Silver Bullet?
Yes, there it is. Silverado.
But the reality is that he was never an A-lister in film, but he was a Broadway giant.
On the short list of, man, I wish I could have seen that on Broadway, and I didn't. His performance as Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman, I've
heard is just.
I mean, yeah. So yes, pour one out.
Yep.
For Mr. Denny. Thank you for all the.
But it's that same thing of it said, oh, and it said Dallas. It said Tommy Boy and Dallas actor Brian Dennehy, and I was like, oh,
like really?
Okay,
Really?
okay, sure. So,
All right.
hey
Well,
man, let's find some nonsense reason to talk again about this stuff soon.
That sounds great. For now, that'll bring us to the end of another Second Breakfast podcast. For Phil Duvall, I am Andy Roth. We are Second Breakfast. We'll see you again at some point. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.